Oculus Rift was a good VR headset when it launched in March, but its tech was overshadowed by the HTC Vive. Released hot on its heels, HTC's VR system offered one-to-one motion track controllers and a more immersive room-scale experience. Oculus Touch is the company's attempt to bridge the gap. The controllers bring your hands into VR with the same level of precision as the Vive controllers. It's not cheap at $199, but it is worth it. The small controllers can be a bit confusing to hold at first, since they look bizarre and it's not immediately clear which controller belongs to which hand. They are really light at 136 grams, and they do feel really comfortable and ergonomic to hold. The controllers have a lot of buttons and they can seem a bit overwhelming at first, especially since you're effectively blindfolded from them in VR. Fortunately, Oculus includes tutorials that walk you through the controller's various capabilities. Oculus has also implemented tools for touch that allow you to lift your thumb off the controller to give the thumbs up gesture. Similarly, when you lift your index finger off the trigger button, your virtual index finger will point. Setting up touch is straightforward, and there's an on-screen tutorial that walks you through the process. Oculus recommends that you place its two sensors in front of you, which will provide you a play space that measures up to 2 by 2 meters. But there's also an experimental 360-degree setup, which allows you to place one of the sensors behind you to prevent the controllers from being occluded or blocked from the Constellation tracking system. However, there are two issues with this configuration. It shrinks your play space down to 1.5 by 1.5 meters. But the bigger issue is that the sensor's 8-foot cable isn't long enough to go behind your back without a USB extension cord. There's another experimental room scale setup that allows you to walk around a larger 2.5 by 2.5 meters space if you purchase a third sensor, which is sold separately for $79. I tried it with a USB extension cable, and while it does increase the playable boundary, the biggest thing holding room scale back here is the headset's relatively short cable. At about 12.5 feet, it's too short to allow you to walk around very much, and currently feels like an afterthought. This isn't as big of an issue with the Vive, which has a cable that measures over 16 feet. I played a bunch of games to put the controllers to the test, and I'm glad to say that they performed really well. Even with a traditional two front-facing sensor setup, the controllers rarely got obscured. The controllers would generally only lose tracking if I turned my back towards the sensors and held them too close to my body or positioned them beneath the sensors. Tracking is also accurate. Once you learn the layout of the controller, it feels really natural to pick up objects, fire guns, wave at allies, and more. It's so accurate that when I shoot basketballs in VR Sports Challenge, I can get a strong sense of where the shots will land before they even hit the backboard. Tagging artwork in King Spray Graffiti Simulator, I could finally control the intensity of my spray can with Touch's analog trigger, which offers a lot of pressure granularity. The Touch's haptic engine is also fantastic. Playing the 1v1 wizard dueling game, The Unspoken, I could feel how powerful my charging fireballs were by how violent the controllers shook. The Touch controllers don't just open up new gameplay opportunities from the Oculus Store, but on Steam as well. In its pre-release state, the Touch controllers work relatively well with the motion-tracked games designed for the Vive. There are even icons for the Touch controllers in Steam VR's menu. The biggest issue at the moment is that the Vive controllers are rendered in VR in lieu of touch. This can be a bit awkward and disorienting at first. It'll take you a minute or two to figure out how Steam VR has remapped the buttons. The controller's tracking system is still great in Steam titles, but I couldn't set up Steam VR's Chaperone system. I played through Space Pirate Trainer, Trials on Tatooine, and Valve's The Lab on Steam. Everything worked well. At $199, Oculus Touch isn't cheap, but it gets your hands into VR and allows you to more intimately interact with your virtual environment. It makes gameplay a physical activity, and it induces a sense of virtual presence in a way that traditional gamepads can't. Touch isn't perfect, but unless you're against a little physical exertion, it's a must-buy for every Rift owner. It's a necessary part of the package as far as I'm concerned, and feels like the missing piece of the puzzle. For more information on the Oculus Rift, head on over to GameSpot.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That beam is dangerous. Duck underneath it.